Hello people, it's night time, I got the view towards the outside of the truck, and this is actually a perfect setting for what I want to do. You see, getting rid of parking for big semi-trucks in industrial zones and towns by putting up no parking signs, then guess what? Semi-trucks starts parking on off-ramps and on-ramps on the interstate, on the main routes. So people starting to become difficult, then people that's not difficult will find ways to live life. It doesn't help to control people in life. People controlling people never work. That's why the Roman Empire fell. That's why the Egyptian Empire fell. That's why all these societies broke down and fell. So control, that means taxes and laws and bylaws and laws and regulations. It doesn't help. Yeah, it creates a kind of an order. It doesn't create order. Now what I'm wanting to get down to is indoctrination. I mean, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had no parking signs. 20 years ago, you wouldn't have had no parking signs in towns and cities for big rigs, for semi-trucks. Meaning city councils are becoming desperate and they put up no parking signs so that trucks cannot park there. Yada 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 yada. You can follow how things tend to come into play. Now comes the indoctrination part. So many of us has been indoctrinated by Bibles, by church. By a Bible. Let's call it the Torah, let's call it the Quran, let's call it the Mormon Bible, let's call it the Bible, let's call it a book with a bunch of stories, and a book with a bunch of advice, and a book with a bunch of inspiration and demoralization and. Now, people get together in a church and they call it a church. It takes 5 people, 3 to 5 people to start a church. And those 5 people get to invite other people to come to the same place, and that's how a church starts. Topic yeah and then yeah in this video to be able to carry through the message to what I want to try and get through to people. Not trying to get through to people, but to give people a different kind of perspective in life. Because I feel the need that we need to change as a human race. We need to become better. Thing is, the churches that I've been in, charismatic, orthodox, I've been in both. And Pentecostal falls under the banner of charismatic. The word charismatic, if you look into the meaning of the word charismatic, it means a person with a character of radicalness. Meaning, if you outspoken and you are radical, meaning you kiss your wife in public. You're not only kissing your wife at home, but you kiss her in public. Radical character, person of radical character. If you're outspoken, if you like to show off, if you like to have pride, that's the definition of all under the definition of charismatic. Charismatic doesn't fall under the banner of a certain type of Christian. Yeah, sure, that's a radical Christian, charismatic Christian. Now, yeah. The one church that I've been in grew from, let's say, 70 or 100 people to 1,000 or 2,000 people because of where they were situated, called Stellenbosch, South Africa, which is the university, one of the best universities in South Africa, or one of the largest universities in South Africa. And the last time that I've been in South Africa, I've kind of heard statistics that there's like 1,000 American students on a yearly basis at the University of Stellenbosch, South Africa. So it was possible and plausible that a church could grow from 100 people to 2,000 or 3,000 people. Or let's say 100 permanent people in church and 1,800 visitors on a regular basis. But yeah, in this church, this pastor tended to old Fred May. He used to say stuff like, don't be worried to how you praise and worship. Nobody looks. And then on a different day, then he would say, ladies, observe your man. If they don't praise and worship, then they're not godly. Then you need to break the relationship. So in one moment he he says nobody looks, and in another moment he what's the word? He implements that you need to look while everyone is praising and worshiping. Or implies. That's the word, imply. He implies that one moment nobody looks, so praise and worship as you want. And then in another moment he implies, ladies, if your man doesn't praise and worship, then keep away from him. Then he's not man. So that's just in one church. Each and every church does the same thing or similar thing, where they indoctrinate people according to how they see life. Now, I'm a bit of a slow learner. I've got a disabled background, meaning I've got a disability, slow thinker. At the age of 2, my mother fed me too much penicillin, too much medication, and I was asleep for 2 weeks. My dad said to me once, before that happened, there were signs that I would have been a genius in life, a super intellectual person. And after that happened, after my mother fed me too much medication and I was asleep for almost 2 weeks, non-stop sleeping, my dad said the signs of me turning out to be a genius dissipated. So yeah, in certain circumstances, I am a slow thinker. Only at the age of 50, my eyes kind of open up to how people are being treated by communities and in churches and so forth. I mean, you can look at society, all your people in society either comes from a church or were in a church or are in a church or connected to a church or connected to people in churches. So your business ideas in life, the way the world works, comes from the church. How politics works comes indirectly, sometimes directly from church. I mean, people go to church, go to university, study, sit in and listen in churches, and they implement to what they've heard in church into politics, into the business world. So if you do get corruption and white collar crime and all those things, it comes indirectly from what's being preached from the pulpit of churches. Doctrination or indoctrination has to be the most threatening thing to mankind. To be able to speak into someone's mind or to speak into society's mind and tell society things works like this. Life works like this and life doesn't work like that. That's why you get many people sometimes that would, if you have an argument with people, then they would say, life doesn't work like that. Yada, yada, yada. So in many regards, what's being preached in churches, from the pulpits of churches, is what causes the world to go in a certain direction. What's been written and translated or incorrectly translated and written in a book, call it Bible, Torah, Quran, Mormon Bible, whatever, Buddhism Bible, whatever, Christian Bible, whatever. That causes the way the world moves. There's people that says, oh, King James Bible is the best. King James Bible is the best. If you go and do your research, you would take note that King James, the one that wrote the Bible, was a sick-minded individual. Sick-minded individual. Sick-minded person. Yet, the King James, the King James, the King James. So, yeah, if people say, you need to get the King James Bible, then I say, sorry, but I don't support any kind of sick-mindedness. Even old King Solomon in the Bible were married to 77 women and slept with 1,000 strange women, or were with 1,000 strange women. That's how it's being worded in the Bible. Were with 1,000 strange women, meaning he had sex with escorts and sex with the 77 wives. And then it's written in the Bible, he had the wisdom of God. Now if he represented God, then God is one ugly entity. That's if he represented God. If that is God's wisdom, to sleep around with women. I'm not being ugly, but things need to be straightened out. Things need to be spoken in perspective. I'm sick and tired of, oh, this is God, that is God, that is God, this is God. Fact remains is, I know there's a God. I know there's someone started this life that we are in. I mean, before Adam and Eve, who was there? Before who was there? Who was there? Before who was there? Meaning the first life in this universe, in this galaxy, in this water bubble of flat Earth. And on this round gravel floating through space. The initial starter of life itself. God Almighty, I am. Sorry, I'm kind of yawny. It's between summer and winter. I got a kind of a good air conditioning system that it's not really on air conditioning setting, but I'm getting air conditioning. But yeah, at the end of the day, people misrepresent God in many ways, from King Solomon to James to Paul, Apostle Paul, I just call him Paul, because Apostle is a title like Sir, Ma'am, Lord, King, President, Minister, Governor, Senator. It's titles. Truck driver, it's titles. Moses, all those people in history and in today's current life. Kenneth Copeland, John MacArthur, Rodney the Drunk, Howard Brown, with his giggling wife that cannot control herself. Todd White, you name it. Nimrod, King Solomon, Adam, Esther, you name it, all of them. In so many ways, them all, and including ourselves, must represent who God is, what God is, where God is, from where God is. I assume if the one that started life itself, God himself, picks us up and says, why can my creation not learn? Why do my creation keep on bumping their heads? Why do my creation keep on killing and destroying each other? Why do the human race do what the human race do? Control one another, destroy one another, humiliate one another, dominate one another. At the end of the day, it sounds like a nasty game. Call it Game of Thrones. That's what this life is basically about. The one with the biggest gun needs to be adhered. The Roman Empire had swords. The USA got nukes. The Egyptians were sexually inclined. The one that's the best rules. The ones with the best looking bums rules the world. The one with the most crooked nose, Julius Caesar, rules the world. The one with the biggest nose rules the world. Oh yeah, in this church that I was at in my 20s. And yeah, your subconscious carries you through life. And I assume your subconscious is the connection to God. I've been in situations where I noticed that my subconscious did things for me without me knowing. Now churches tend to preach, consequences of sin in life, consequences of sin in life. So I had 3 heart attacks. Now people are quick to say, oh yeah, because you're a smoker. That's why. Todd White, he preaches. I assume he doesn't drink or he doesn't smoke. I assume so much because you never see him smoke or drink. But yeah, he's the same age as me. Todd White also had a heart attack. He also got stents in his arteries, just like me. So, consequences of sin doesn't bring forth unhealthy ways of living. It doesn't bring forth the reasoning of your health. Bullshit. Shittable. So people say, oh, because you sinned in life, that's why you are sick. Oh, because you sinned in life, that's why this, that's why that. You slept around with escorts, that's why you're not married. Yada, 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 yada. But if it's being preached from the pulpit of a church that, oh, if your man doesn't jump up and down like a rabbit in church, and he doesn't look all freaky, then stay away from him, ladies. He's not a godly man. He's not saved. Your man needs to praise and worship. He needs to jump up and down like a rabbit in church and sing hallelujah while he's jumping up and down. And over the years, my subconscious said, oh well, no opportunity to get married because they preach against introverts, they preach against men, males, guys, call us whatever you want, ladies. call as a guy, call as a boy, call as a man, call as a male, whatever. Because in churches they preach, oh, your man needs to be lovey and dovey in church. He needs to jump up and down and praise and worship God. If he doesn't jump up and down, then he's ungodly and he's lazy and he's an introvert. This is what's been preached in the church, one church that I've been in. Now I can take you 100 years back, and society 100 or 200 years back, if you ate with your fork in your left hand and your knife and your right hand at a fancy dinner table, then people would have said, oh, keep away from that person. Back then you had to have your fork in your right hand and your knife in your left hand. That's how the world tends to indoctrinate one another. That's how people indoctrinate society. I mean, 200 years ago, you needed to eat a certain way at the dinner table. Today, people don't even look to how you eat, as long as you eat. Today, if you don't jump up and down like a goddamn rabbit in church, then you're not praising and worshiping God. If you don't go to church, then you're not accepting God's people. If you sit in the back of the church, you are the devil in the church. That's what's been preached in my lifetime. Now, I'm doing this video hoping that the younger generation, the young people, the teenagers and 20-year-old people, the people in their 20s and in their teens, meaning, I'm hoping that this video reaches younger people to learn quicker in life, to open your eyes quicker in life, and don't fall into indoctrination, don't fall into indoctrination from the pulpits of churches. Know God is and follow God. And that's it. If God says, you're too ugly to get married, then enjoy the escorts. If God says, you're good looking enough to get married, then get married. But live your life. I'm at the age of 50, and I regret that I didn't jump up and down in church like a goddamn rabbit, to be able to catch a wife, to be able to catch a fish in the sea, to be able to catch a narrow-minded lady's attention in church. You see, I can jump up and down. See, I'm praising and worshiping God. Let's get married. What I'm saying is, younger people rebel against doctrination, rebel against indoctrination. Let God show himself strong. Let society crumble and fall. Let society be ruled by God, not by indoctrination. Oh, a man needs to own a house and a car before he can even think about asking a girl on a date. You know, it's written in the Bible that it says only once a man finds a godly woman, a good woman, then he finds a good thing. That good thing is favor with God and success in life. Meaning, a single man will not ever be successful. A single man will not have money. Because a man's success is based on the connection between God and the woman he is with. God helps the woman to support the man so that the man can be successful for God. Does that make sense? So your man will not have a house, your man will not have a car. Only once you get married, then the house and the car comes. Especially in my situation, where I come out of a divorce and my dad lost everything, when my mom took everything. So I'll only start saving up and start building up the day that I get married. In other words, teamwork. Together we make it. Separately we won't. Now this is pure kind of speculation. I'm 50, I'm still single. Had a girlfriend at the age of 40 and a girlfriend at about the age of 36, 37, 38. Maybe it was at the age of 34. I can't recall. But yeah, 2 girlfriends in my life. The one at 14, that lasted about 4 to 6 months. The one at 34 lasted about 3 to 5 months. But yeah, summer loving. Summer loving girlfriends. At a certain stage I had a BMW, and I assume that's why I had a girlfriend. So I assume it's because society has been indoctrinated in a certain way where women look at men and say, oh, he's got a old beat up Volkswagen, or he's got a pickup, keep away from him. He doesn't jump up and down in church, keep away from him. Because society has been already indoctrinated, it's over for me. And what is marriage? Marriage is to plant forth, to have offspring, to have children. Having children at the age of 50, by the time they are 15, 16 years of age, then I'll be what, 65? And I cannot move as I used to move back in my 20s. And my children get irritated with me because I'm not as good as their friends, dads or mothers. Because their friends, dads and mothers can move about and look all professional and look all well built. So yeah, what's the use of marriage at the age of 50? It's kind of pointless. I'm kind of speaking here in a broad spectrum, but it all falls back to the narrative of society being indoctrinated and being doctrinated, or doesn't matter how you use the word, indoctrinated, doctrinated. Meaning society for the last, 2,000 years, for the last 3,000 years, has been told life works this way, not that way. God operates this way, not that way. Says who? I would love for God's voice to pop up across the world and say, your people think I'm a certain way, I'm not. Imagine God's voice echoing throughout the world, telling everyone at the same time, on the same day, and the same year, telling everyone in their own language within the same second. Your people think I am like this, but I am not. Imagine hearing God's voice. It would be scary, but it would be intriguing and fascinating as well. Imagine God pitching up through Jesus Christ, or God and Jesus Christ pitching up and stating, this is who we are. What is written in that Bible that you call Bible? We didn't intend the Bible to be written like that, to be translated like that. Imagine they pitch up and they say, hey, you guys diluted the book that we gave you, that we left you. Imagine that. Now you see, I've been chased out of church. And there's a certain section in Matthew 25 that says, no person shall chase out another person from church. Only the harvester shall pluck out the weeds amongst the harvest. Now, weeds is a dirty plant that kills a perfected crop on a farm. It says there, and the laborer shall not pluck out the weeds amongst the harvest. Only the harvester shall pluck out the weeds amongst the harvest. Meaning, only God will prevent people to be in church. Only God will tell people not to go to church. Only God will get people not to go to church. Only God will isolate people from people. People are not allowed to isolate people.